Hello everyone, welcome to Week of Geek. My name's Reevesy and today I'm listing the top 5 MMORPGs to look out for in the second half of 2020, with the reasons why you might consider playing them and why you might also want to avoid them. Let's go ahead and jump straight in. So in at number 1 we've got New World. New World is an open world action MMORPG created by Amazon Games. It was originally set for release in May, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic has been pushed back to August the 25th. The game looks like it's going to be focused around large-scale player-driven economies, with a focus on guild v guild PvP, as well as some siege and defense style PvE content. The game has been gaining some huge traction from the hype train, and for good reason. It has one of the biggest companies in the world behind it. And this might be naive, but it seems to me like that can only mean one thing. The game will always have funding for improvements and changes. The whole game is looking to be a fresh take on the genre, with players and guilds playing a huge part in the experience of other players. You should definitely learn more about this game and look into the beta or pre-ordering if you like playing as part of a bigger picture in guilds and teams, if you want to help build and shape the new worlds, and if you're looking for an MMO with action combat. If you're a big fan of the medieval aesthetic, definitely look into this title, and also if you enjoy group PvP. But maybe stay away if you want a solid story to guide you through the game, or if you don't like guild interactions. The second game on the list is a game called Corepunk. Corepunk is set to be an action MMORPG being published by Artificial Core. It's set in a seamless world with MMORPG features. Now, I'd love to go into more detail, but the developers seem to have popped up out of nowhere, and apart from what we know from the trailer, which is that there will be dungeons, crafting, farming, fog of war wherever you go, a difficult group enemy encounters who all work together, and a vast world to explore, we don't know too much more. However, we do know that the developers are listening to feedback. From the trailer, they heard the overwhelming feedback that the combat and movement looked really slow. They addressed it in a video explaining their decision behind that, and then made some changes in the game. So, to break it down, this game is on the list because it looks to be a true isometric MMORPG which could fill the gap that Albion Online left unfilled for many Ultima Online veterans. It looks like a really interesting fresh take on the genre. It appears to have lots going for it, and its developers are already taking on board feedback and making changes. The game already looks pretty polished too, and with an interesting cyberpunk style aesthetic. The closed beta is currently planned for Q4 of 2020. I'd definitely look to get involved in that beta if you like isometric MMORPGs like RuneScape, Albion, Path of Exile, or of course Ultima Online. If you're interested in a new take on MMORPGs, if you're a fan of cyber or steampunk themes, or if you like action RPGs but want a little bit more from your games. Probably stay away though if you're bored of action RPGs, because there's a lot of them popping up, and you could just be saving yourself a Diablo 4, which is more than reasonable. If you're not interested in the cartoon style or the cyberpunk theme, and if you prefer tab targeting as opposed to telegraph and action style combat. The third game on the list is World of Warcraft Shadowlands. Shadowlands is the latest expansion for one of the biggest MMORPGs, World of Warcraft. Warcraft of course doesn't really need an introduction and shouldn't technically make an upcoming MMORPG list. But as someone who's played WoW since its very first launched, I can confidently say that each expansion is starting to feel like its very own game. Battle for Azeroth certainly did, and with the new expansion of Shadowlands being set on a completely different continent, I'm willing to bet that this one will feel like its own game as well. Which is great news for anybody who's looking for a new MMO to get involved with. It means you can buy the game and just jump straight into the action. You can enjoy the previous expansion, Battle for Azeroth, as part of the leveling experience, and then jump straight into the latest expansion, without worrying about what you've missed before. There's even a brand new tutorial island to make sure you learn all of the mechanics that will carry you through the game. I'd recommend Shadowlands if you've always wanted to try WoW but been bewildered by how much there is to do, have previously played Warcraft and are looking to give it a go again, or if you enjoy story and lore in games, because this expansion is going to be very lore rich. But maybe give it a miss if you've tried World of Warcraft but just didn't like it at all, if you want to avoid paying a monthly fee, or if you're a completionist and haven't played the previous games, because that's just going to really wind you up. Okay, so the fourth game is Phantasy Star Online 2. PSO2 is a free-to-play action MMORPG that's been one of the most popular MMORPGs in Japan since its release in 2012. It's completely action-based combat focused around running dungeon-style maps to get better loot and defeat bosses. The game's been exclusively available to Japan since its release, leaving Western fans to mask their IPs and make fake Japanese accounts if they want to play. Earlier this year, North America Xbox players got the chance to play the game, but now, or at least as of the 27th in a day or so, any PC player will be able to play it. The game really does have the best action in any action MMORPG, so it's worth a go. I'd give this a try if you love action combat. If you're a fan of the original Phantasy Star Online, you love dungeon running and loot-driven games, and if you love Japanese anime style games too. I'd probably leave this one be though if you want more than just dungeon running and leveling up multiple skills, because it can get a bit grindy. If you don't like Japanese anime style games or furries, because there's a lot of that going on, and definitely stay away if you're not really that bothered about action combat, because it's one of the main pulls for this game. Okay, so number 5, the last game. It's a bit of a different entry and one that's already been released, so I'm breaking the rules a little bit, but for this last entry, temptM, I needed to put it into the list. I've always said that if Game Freak was to make a Pokemon MMORPG, I'd dedicate a big chunk of my life to it. temptM, of course, isn't made by Game Freak, but apart from a few differences, probably just enough to avoid a lawsuit I'd say, this is everything I'd have wanted from a Pokemon MMORPG. It's currently got a rating of 9 out of 10 on Steam and is receiving some amazing praise for how fluid the combat is and how addictive leveling your temptM up is. You can find it on Steam for just under £30 and it's something I'd highly recommend if Pokemon was or is still your thing, you like turn-based combat, you're a fan of a cartoon anime style gameplay, or you just want to try an MMO that is completely different to the norm. However, definitely stay away if you don't like Pokemon, because this is literally a carbon copy. A great carbon copy, but it's definitely Pokemon. Stay away if you aren't interested in leveling up creatures rather than your own gear, and if you aren't interested in sharing that kind of game experience with randoms. Okay, so that's it. That's my list. And all of these games are looking to cause quite a stir in all of the corners of the MMORPG community. I'm personally really excited about Corepunk. I've been craving a true isometric MMORPG for years. But what do you think? Are you looking forward to any of these games? And have we missed any off the list? Please remember to subscribe and like to help this channel grow. Thank you very much. Until next time.